Hi guys, hi, how you doing? Welcome to Nest Telly. Today I'm going to be telling you my story titled "The Girl Who Used to Be Dumb." Okay, so I was born into a wonderful family. I have four siblings. We're all girls in my home. My mom, my dad. Now, when I was in primary school, I started realizing something about myself. I wasn't doing very well in school. I didn't seem to be catching up or meeting up like regular school standards, which didn't bother me. It was like it was all well and good. Like when I was younger, I didn't see myself as either smart or either dumb. I don't think it wasn't part of my identity, and I felt like this was more like my parents' problem. I was doing the best that I can, but I wasn't aware enough to be bothered by it, right? Which was fine, right? And then in my primary three, my mom dies. So it was in my primary three that I became more aware of this situation, this problem, because it started becoming more of what I was being identified with. Like before then, my identity was like, I'm this quiet person. I talk to myself a lot. I'm weird, socially awkward. Then my mom, for a while, thought I don't know, I was sick or something because I was very quiet and I had a very strange thing with food. So none of that identity had to do with anything that had to do with my brain, like this thing between my ears. Never. But when my mom died, it became a thing because I was being told over and over again that I wasn't doing well and I needed to do better in school. And I don't know whether in your school, in your primary school, whether you have that thing where if you scored below, let's say 50 or something in any subject, your teacher writes your scores in red. So, like, my results will come out and you see all the subjects, you just see red everywhere in my book. I don't know if we did positions, but somehow there just seem to be a lot of red. Sometimes it won't be that much, but that's when I kind of started becoming aware of this. So I told you my mom had died at this point, so it was pretty much us, our dad, and my siblings. That's my siblings, and us for a while until one of my aunts moved into our house. My mom's younger sister, amazing lady by the way. So she moved into our house. Now, I carry my body like this, and I entered secondary school. Secondary school, when I tell you, it was worse. It was so bad. Secondary school, I did so poorly in school. I didn't like what I remember. One of the things I remember well in secondary school was that there was a time in just too where everybody's results was populated together. Like it was in secondary school that we still having positions. They'll be first in class, second in class. So they did everybody together. Like I think the whole of JS2 then were like maybe say 302 or something, or maybe 100. I don't even remember, but let's say 150 from four classes. So 150 students from four classes, and the total was 150. Your sister, Chinese, scored 448 or something. The other two that did not come in were people that were not coming to school at all. Maybe they were sick or something like that. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm telling this story. It's so embarrassing. But now, that's what stuck to me. So my identity became that I was dumb. It was, as far as I'm concerned, it was my reality, is what I know to be. I'm very thankful that I'm saying it now as it was, because honestly, for the longest time, until very, very recent, I agreed with myself. It was like, hey, I'm dumb. I don't understand these things. And I just wasn't interested in reading. That's the thing. And or even when I try to read, maybe my mind will just get carried away. I'll start doing something else, and that thing will take priority. Honestly, I can't tell you that I knew the reason why I was doing poorly in school. I wasn't interested in classes. Classes were always so boring, or I just always had something else with my mind that I wanted to do. But now that's how Chinese was. So something interesting happened to me. I went to school. I was in secondary school for 7 years instead of six because I repeated SS1. The other thing that I'm no longer embarrassed to talk about, it happened, it happened. What can I do? So in SS1, I was supposed to pick between history and fine arts, right? I had done history in the first SS1 before I repeated. In the first SS1, I did my history, I did poorly. Well, in the end, I repeated, so nothing do me. Um, in a SS, in the second SS1, I think I had missed two classes or something like that. Maybe I had gone and done something else instead of staying in the class. And the teacher then told me that, see, if you're not going to attend my classes, you cannot. As in, or she was telling me something I needed to do. I was like, I'm not going to do this one. So one day during history class, she told me to get up and leave her class. I got up and I left her class, and I walked into what we used to call the art lab back then. Of course, now I think about it, there's no way it was an art lab. Maybe it was a workshop. But back in our secondary school, all the things were called lab. We had Introtech lab, Homec lab, Agric lab. All of them were called lab. But honestly, I don't know, but I went to they call them back then, right? So I went into the art lab and I just stood outside and I met this our teacher then, Mr. Eriwana. If you can hear me or if you're watching this video, hi. So Mr. Eriwana was teaching in class, and he just stands, he just looks at me. I'm like, "What are you doing there?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He said, "I come inside, come inside." And then I came and I sat down, and that was it. And I didn't do art in my JS1, JS2, and JS3 because I didn't think I was good at it. I did music in JS1, JS. It was between art and music when I was in JS class, so I did music instead. But in senior secondary, somehow the man did not seem to have a problem with me staying in the class. And that was the first time I actually paid attention to the art lab. The art lab was like very messy, colors were everywhere, there were easels, and I forgot what he was teaching. But for some reason, my attention was spiked. Like I was able to listen and I answered questions. So after that, I was like, okay, so it looks like this is what I'm going to do. So that day after the class, I turned to Mr. Iwana, asked him, "Can I join the class?" I know this is like my third week into the class. And I said, "What's your name?" I wrote my name in the class. Most times, art students were very few in my class. So I think that the fact that he had enough time to pay attention, like I think that class were only like five. So I was the fifth to come in. So that's how I started my art journey. And thanks to Mr. Riwana, I was actually able to enjoy. I found one subject I could actually do well, and I enjoyed. So that's how that was my story. That was my journey into the arts. So the second class we did, that's how they brought out paper and told us to start drawing. I was like, I'm sorry, what I could do. I could not believe it. I was like, if we're drawing in class, like it was so funny. And they gave us paper, they were like, okay, collect pencil, start drawing. And that was it. We're learning about perspectives, the difference, everybody circled an object and all of us drew it. And they were like, the reason why everybody's view of the item was different was because of the angle that we're staying to draw it. And they were talking about light, shade, shadow, all those type of things, tones. I couldn't believe it. And I got it. I don't know if you understand. See, I'm talking about it. I actually remember it. You get. So that was how I got into arts. Now, when I was in primary school, I remember when I was taking common entrance, how I even entered secondary school was a whole thing because I don't even know how I did it. But when I took common entrance, I remember that I liked quantitative and I liked verbal. I did not like math. And English confused me, like it then confused the hell out of me because what do you go off giving me four identical multiple options? Like I don't know if you understand. They ask you a question, then they ask you the answer. Four of the answers are correct in my mind, but one is more correct than the other. And Chinese is supposed to find it. I don't understand. So English was such an issue for me, but I did a lot of lessons for common entrance, and somehow I eventually made it and entered school. So something interesting then happened. I was very good with art. I went into like national competitions, federal schools would do competition. I would go, I would participate, some I would win, bring glory to the school. And that was just it. My art life was now to cover everything. Now, everything else I was still doing very badly, if I can explain. But the principal even got to know me, knew me by name because I was representing the school and doing an amazing name. But you see, when when a new term or the end of a term came in our school, they used to do this thing where they would call top five in a class and then lower five. I still fell into the lower five category, so I was still doing poorly in school. Now, something interesting that happened when I was, I think, SS3. I think it's second term. It was second, no, first term actually, where they said, okay, let them do the whole top five. What I learned to do at this point was I stopped being around. Anytime they're doing those assemblies where they will call top five and lower top five, I'll miss. I'll japa. I'll fight on and then hide so that they will not catch me. I felt punishment twice for running away from those counts, but I didn't care. I didn't used to go because what's the point of me? And imagine they'll call you last and make you come and stand in front of the class and or stand in front of the assembly as last. Like seriously. Anyway, it doesn't still matter. It happened to me multiple times, so I was like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. So something interesting then happened where I think in our SS3 it wasn't about the class anymore because we're getting ready to take mock, which is in SS2. Then you take the main wired jump and all that in SS3 as third term, and that was it. So they did it by the subject. So something interesting happens. They call the best in math, and your friend Chinese Kim was the best in her class, not the best in her class, the best in the set. Now, I'm talking about I was an art student who was struggling with math. I had beat the people from further math class, people from the arts, from the science class, from the commerce class, and somehow I became the best. Like, honestly, to tomorrow, it was like I wasn't even there. It was after the assembly, my younger sister, who was in school with me, my younger sister is one of the smartest people I know. And that was because we're in the same school together. In school, people used to think, like even teachers used to say, "Ah, how it take happen?" Because she was doing well in school and I was feeling like he was running out of style back in school. People couldn't understand it. They're like, what's wrong with these two people? You get anyway, my sister is looking for me, looking for me, looking for me. Eventually she finds me and I'm like, what's the problem? She said, why weren't you in a standard? They were looking for you. You got the best in math in your set. I thought that that's not true. I thought that that's not true. She told me yes, so that I did. I didn't believe it. Like I got my result, I looked at it and I just thought, I just dropped it somewhere. I had scored, I think I got 92% or so in math, SS3 math in UK. Even till now, I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I agree, but it happened, sha. So now something had happened. Anytime I didn't enjoy school, I hated everything about school. I went to boarding school, I hated everything about school. But going home was also even felt even tougher because of how poorly I was doing. Like I told you that my doing poorly in school, my being dumb had become a major part of my identity. And it had a lot to do with what I heard from people who loved me or people who cared about me. What I heard over and over again was how dumb I was. So I told you that my aunt moved in with us and all that. And without fail, anytime I came back from school, she would just keep reminding me of how poorly I was doing in school and I needed to do better. In addition to telling me that I would not amount to nothing, I heard that so many times that I actually believed that it was true, that I wouldn't amount to anything. Now, the interesting thing is that even though I believe that I've come out of that circumstance, sorry, mentally, that voice rings in the head. I'll talk a little more about that later. So I got home and my aunt called me and was like, "Where's your results?" I showed her my results. And before she even opened it, she was already shouting. She was already saying, "Hey, let me see your result. Let me see." And then she grabs me. I don't know whether it was by the neck, but I just remember I was standing next to her. She grabs me to sit down beside her, like very rough, to sit down, maybe either to beat me or to, I don't know what she was trying to do. So I sit down beside her, and then once my sister heard her voice, she runs in and is like, "No, no, 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 no." Until before he said anything, she said got the best in math in her set. And she was like, "How? How did she come the best?" And she now opens the result and then sees that math, this thing. Every other thing, like I said, I wasn't still doing well. She now saw the math results. And my sister explaining, oh, she did so well, but that she came to assembly, they were supposed to give them prizes. She was not there. She now started asking me, why weren't you there? Blah, 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 and all that. But I'm going to stop the story here. Let me share my first set of lessons. I'm going to be doing 3 lessons halfway in between. Lesson number 1. If you happen to have children around you, be very careful. Be very, very careful of the things you tell these children. Even if you have a child that is doing stupidly stupid things, do not use strong, definitive, negative words for your children. Okay? I try to create it like a balance. I say that for every negative, strong, defining word you tell a child, you have to tell him or her, sorry, like 20 other positive defining words to cancel out that negative. You cannot allow you as in one of the major jobs you should do is to not let a child feel like they are less than what they really are. I'm not saying that you should let your child be aloof or be unaware of their issues, but ask for creativity, ask for wisdom, ask people around. There are creative ways to explain and solve problems with troubled kids that are problematic or troubled, without you having to tell them very strong, severe words. Do you understand? I know that as a parent, the place of love is where a lot of these things come from. But I'm telling you, the after effect of this thing is not lovely. It's not steeped in love. When a child believes that they are careless, that they are stupid, that they are meant for nothing, that they are ridiculous, it's not helpful for them. It doesn't help them. Long, long, long after, it doesn't help them. Okay? So please, as a parent, if you're a Christian, pray for grace. If you're I don't even know what it is. If you need to talk to somebody, please ask around. Have instead of having friends that have instead of having other parents, I don't know if people are talking about how bad Nigeria is, or if you are watching whatever it is that's happening online, or you're looking at social media. Find things. Find parents that have similar goals like you. Talk to them. When your child weed on the bed, what did they do? What did you do about it? How did you address it? You get, don't allow yourself to get so, some people is a lady I know was worried about her child's weight. Her child was adding weight, and she felt the way to take care of it was to shame her child into losing the weight. The problem may be solved. You may succeed in shaming your child, but do you want a child that has a negative notion of what her body is like? It's a very long one, but you see, this is one of those mountains I can talk for 3 hours and I'll die on it. I'll die on this mountain. Be careful what you tell your children. Okay, those things they live long after you're gone, long after they leave your care, and it creates things in them that don't promote a better version of themselves. So that's number one. Number two, do not compare your kids. Okay, if you have multiple children or you have your kids with other kids around, never under no condition should you compare. My daughter even has called me out on it one time, and I wasn't even comparing. I just told her that, you see, as person did this thing, do it like that. She said, "Mommy, don't compare me." One time, okay. Now, a lot of our parents were raised with comparison, so they have a very high tendency to want to compare. You, as a mother, be the breaker of chain. Be the one that breaks that cycle. Do not compare your children. If you compare your children's ability to succeed or not succeed will be dependent on what other people do. Who that one help? Do you understand? They say the king of with one eye. I mean, the person with one eye is king to the land of the blind, something like that. That's because we are comparing each other. Do you understand? Everybody has their strength. Everybody has their purpose. Let us focus on that instead of thinking, this child is doing this one, you're not doing this one. And that's where all those things, all those lies our parents used to tell us. They said when I was in school, I came 100/100. You're coming 80/100. It's comparison. Do not compare. And the thing is that the more you compare your kids, the more your kids will compare themselves. That's the reason why you likely compare yourself. That's the reason why you look at social media. Somebody is doing something that you have no business doing, and suddenly you compare to that person. Your friend is getting PhD. You can't get. Are you PhD material? Think about it. What is your purpose? Some people have made long major decisions in their life based off what somebody else did. Hey, is that how God created us? Anyway, so please, number two is do not compare. Number three, understand and believe that nobody is dumb. Now, I know I'm telling the story of a girl who used to be dumb, which is me. Nobody is dumb. Everybody just has an area of strength. I think it was Einstein. I don't remember who. I'll put the quote here. He says, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life thinking that it is dumb or it is useless. A fish is not supposed to climb tree. A snake can, a bear, maybe, even tigers and cheetahs, maybe, but a fish, really? You get, everybody has their own purpose and what they are supposed to do. Let us try and focus on that. So let us continue with our story. So now, I did fall in WAEC. I took WAEC twice. Eventually, it was NECO that saved me. So I did WAEC twice, I did NECO once, and NECO saved me. I did GCE twice, I did JAM twice. So that is how I just believed, okay, now so it be. In all of this, I was storing my art well. Even the maths, I wasn't even doing that well in the beginning. But at least in the WAEC JAM and all that. In the WAEC JAM and all that. So university. It was very easy entering university because now find out where I sabi do. That's where my strength was. My principal had even told my father about it. So when I told him I wanted to do fine art, the man was just happy. The man said, well, this thing that you're good at, nah, just do it. You get, because it's like a path had been created for me. You're supposed to do this, just can't do it. You're good at it. Let's not fight. So I ended up studying fine and applied arts in the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. So when I was in Nsukka, by the time I entered Nsukka, I'd gotten a new identity, and that was my relationship with God. It was based off my relationship with God. I was a champion. I was God's child. I was a king's kid. I was a success on the field. I was a victor, not a victim. However, even with that belief there, I was secondary school, I created this interesting thing like cartoons, right? Where there's a devil on one side and there's an angel on this side. The voice that reminded me of how dumb I was on one side of my shoulder. Then a voice that was of encouragement was on this side. Now, guess what voice won? I'll let you leave it in the comments which voice won. So, even though I was doing great in arts, I was the best in arts when I left my secondary school. I entered university, I realized I wasn't the best. So what then happened was that the voice of negativity reminded me and said, hey, you've come now, you're not that good there. Do you understand? See other people are better than you. So even this art that you think you're good at, you're not even that good at it. So that was a whole thing that I had to work with. But what I held on to was my relationship with God. I knew that God doesn't waste. God only creates great things, and all that. So my relationship with God was good. Another one was friendship. One of the best, I'll give you this advice, I'll put that in my next set of lessons. One of the best things you can do is have great friends. I focused a lot on friendships. I had good friends in my university. There are these ladies that till today they are my very good friends. I know they carry them play. They understand. And that was because of what they were to me when I was in university. So I did that and I did well in school. That's a university, until I got out of university. Now, in university, interestingly enough, one of my friends used to call me a workaholic, which was weird. She would say things like how she tell people, don't mind this one. Oh. She has colored hair with her interesting inscription t-shirts, and she always looks so serious, but I'm always dancing on the way with headphones on my phone. This girl is a workaholic, but that was kind of what my life was. I was making money, I was working, I was always looking for ways to just make things happen. But I love what I did. I don't know how to explain it. It was just it was as if I was just staying and absorbing art. I loved every part of it. It was just beautiful. I loved the art, even the theory parts. I liked it. However, you see those other courses that you have to do outside, right? The computer 101, I was doing poorly. GS 101, I did poorly. French, I did French, failed. Did Germany, failed. Went back to French. Then I eventually did better with French. All those small, small courses that we had to do outside, I still was getting like E and F. Again, like it was going out of style. Honestly, I don't understand why. Because at this point, I got into a point where I was like, I used to try and study. Like I would study these things well, but somehow the results would come out and I would write what I thought was right. The results would come out and it just didn't work. Honestly, I don't understand what happened, but that was what my reality was. So, but I had a beautiful time in university. Also, this my auntie that was in my house had left in my university, so her voice wasn't as prominent anymore. Like, her telling me that I wouldn't amount to much, blah, blah, blah. Those things weren't as prominent because she wasn't telling me fresh ones. The old ones were still there. Oh. Like the stories I can tell. Just telling those stories, I don't know how it's going to help this video I'm trying to do now. So I'm not going to get into it. But I'll just tell you that, a lot of times conversations, like people will gather and tell me about how dumb I was and tell me maybe I need to improve, but not like the focus wasn't on how I needed to improve. It was on how I would not amount to nothing. That was a conversation. I don't know if you understand. Multiple people will gather, and that would be a conversation. Some I will hear they were saying, some will be when I'm present. And I'm talking of imagine at the age of 15 hearing that about yourself. At 14, it was such a major. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. So I think I'll take this break and talk about my next set of lessons. Okay. Okay. So lesson number 4 is get to know a higher power. I'm not going to preach and make it about Christianity. Me, I'm a Christian. Do you understand? But I think one of the best things that helped me was getting to know God. He had a way of clarifying my life for me. Do you understand? Things just became more crystal and it helped me to believe in myself. In my ability to set out something and actually do it, it was very, very easy. Okay, so if it's not God that just get to believe in something because you're believing in nothing is also a belief in itself. And I won't say that it's not helpful, but I'll just tell you that I don't think it will help you if you're really on a journey to making yourself a better person. Because you're believing in nothing leads to a state of hopelessness. If a state of faithlessness, imagine living life without the possibility of a hope. So it's like if something hits you, bam, there is nothing to hold on to say, I can come out of this. God, it's tough. It's a tough one. Okay, so please try and believe in a higher power. If you're someone that was born Christian, try and see if you can find yourself back to God. Do you understand? As a Christian, one of the best decisions I made. I don't know how we're out here wilding without God. It's hard. Even with things happening in the world now, you need to hold on to something you can pray, someplace you can read, you can study, learn about people that have lived through situations similar to you. So try and believe in something, okay? That's number 4. Number 5, take friendships very seriously. I will advise, I don't know if there are any teenagers here, but I know that there are parents to teenagers here. So if you have teenagers in your life and you have people in their 20s, I will tell you focus on friendships. Focus on having great, beautiful, deep friendships. Leave relationship alone. And when I say relationship, leave romantic relationship. I'm telling you, romantic relationships will lead you to believe negative things about yourself. A lot of us are struggling now in our marriages, in our relationship with our children, because of negative things that were put into us when we're teenagers through romantic relationships. It's not all black and white like that. Though. Like it's not flat, but I'm telling you, the better friendships you can cultivate at this time, the better it will help with your self-esteem, then the better for what you're going to receive later in life, in your life. Spend time cultivating great relationships. It helps you understand what your values are. It helps you understand what is important to you. Okay? I don't know how I can explain without talking because the people that I had in my life, the way they spoke of me, in front of me and at my back, and honestly, I don't think I've ever had that kind of thing in my life. And if possible, like I'm not a clique person, but if you're able to bring it to a point where you know a set of people and they know each other, it's even better because that's what happened with me. You get, and me, I thought I have four siblings, so even four of us are also another friend group altogether. We have people that you don't get along with your family, you can't get along with your siblings, you don't have friends anywhere. I hear a lot of social media people say things like, "Oh, you cannot trust female friendships; they want to take things away from you, blah blah blah. They want your life." You need to be careful. Like something is not right. Like I need to hold your hands when I say this because I know it's going to sound condescending and wrong to you. But if you've been able to live through your whole life without having one or two very good friends, something is not aligning well with you because there are lots of amazing people out here, and not one of them is your friend. Like you did primary school, nursery school, primary school, secondary school, university, and not one person out of that entire everybody that you knew wanted to take something from you. They were jealous of you. Something is not something in well. Okay, so as a teenager, if you're watching this as a teenager or you're in your 20s, try to cultivate great friendships. If you cultivate great friendships, there are people that will tide you through till much later in your life. They will help you, you will help them too. Do you understand? There's a sense of self that comes with coming with having great friendships. If it's not with you, some people have great friendships with their moms, some people with their aunties, some people with their mates, some people with their siblings. Try and see if you can do that. Work on it. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. I'm telling you. Join fellowships. That's another thing that helped me. I had fellowships. Those friends I had were in the same fellowship with me. Another mountain I can die on talking about it for the next 3 hours. Okay, so that's number five. Number six, get disciplined. Your 20s and your teenage years are the times to get disciplined. If you're disciplined in those things, it's easier for you to be disciplined in every other thing. So again, the possibility of being disciplined when you're doing romantic relationship, you're following boyfriend, girlfriend, it's actually quite tough. It's not very possible because you're at the whim of somebody. Like I remember a lot of people that were in relationships in my school, that's in university, where they were on the whim, they were always paying attention to whatever, like women that were paying attention to whatever the man wanted or the boy, because it's not man, I'm talking about a boy, both of them in the same course. So it's like, oh, some this down to cooking. Nah, how you know they do this thing for them? Say, oh, he wants to eat, oh, he needs to now go, oh, he has an exam, you go and sit down. So like you're supposed to be taking care of yourself. This is the time where you're supposed to be fueling yourself, giving yourself energy, and you're spending it on someone else. Anyway, get discipline. That's number six. Okay, so continue the story. So we're going to do a jump all the way to 2019. Why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because it actually is the need, is the foundation of the story of Nestelic, which is this channel. In 2019, Chineze woke up one day and said she was going to start a YouTube channel, but it actually came from reading. I have always been fascinated by people that could read well. That's one of the reasons I married my husband. My husband is an amazing reader. I just felt like if I was around him long enough, with time I'll learn how to read. Even though it took almost 10 years before I got to the point where I actually started reading. But man, this man reads, people that read a lot you cannot lack knowledge, you cannot lack knowledge, you cannot be broke, you cannot be, you cannot be easily intimidated. I don't know if that's the word. They have a better look to life. Of course, there are up and down sides to that. However, he was such an avid reader, and that's one of the things I considered a plus when I was thinking of whether I should marry him or not. I was like, this man reads a lot, so it's like if you read a lot, you can't stay in the one place for long. You're gonna move higher and better as time goes by. So I in 2019 I had set a goal that I was going to start reading. So I started reading in the beginning of the year 2019, and then sorry, in 20 sometime in September also I said let me start the channel, and that is how we landed in this study. I was doing a book a week, talking about books I had read before or books I was working on, and suddenly it was like magic. Now imagine someone that has spent her whole life thinking she was dumb. One of the things I believe was that I was not a good reader. Before then, a book would take me up to a year to read, sometimes 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, sometimes a year and a half. A thick book, I'll be like, I cannot read all this for no. You get, and I just accepted it as what it was. But I just started challenging myself, and that's how I started reading this book. I started reading books. And the interesting thing about goals is that for every goal that you achieve, it inspires you to want to achieve more. It gives you the confidence to try other goals. My goal to read came from my goal to abandon milk, which is weird. In the beginning of the year, I said I was going to, I love milk. I'm such a big fan of milk. Oh my God. The way I take milk, it's baffling, even to myself. But now, in 20, is it 15, when I was giving birth to my child, I had a heart failure and I knew that I had to start taking care of myself. Don't worry, I'm fine now. 2020, I was cleared. However, I needed to start making better, healthier decisions. So, like at the moment, I don't eat after 6 generally, So, like I started taking better health decisions just to take care of my heart because the ride is still long. I have another 50 years or so to live. I cannot do it and my heart will be doing chaka 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 up and down. Meanwhile, 30 something, the heart has done back around like it's no more doing. So, I had to make sure that we take care of the insides while we continue life in this life. So I had stopped taking milk and I realized if I can stop taking milk, I can stop reading. I can start reading. And that's how I started reading. So in 2020, I said, okay, I was going to take it up a notch. I was going to do 2 books in a week. That was a crazy one, if I may say. It wasn't the most sustainable idea, but I did it in 2020. I think in 2020, I ended up reading 98 books in the year. And I was just going like a mad person. But that was easy because in 2020, COVID-19 hit us. So for about 3, 4 months, we were indoors. My daughter was not going to school. So like things that would take away from my life generally wasn't taking away from my life. I had time to sit down and read. I just sat down, pick up a book, I just be reading, reading, reading. So that's how Nestle started. So the reason why I wanted to document it was I wanted to be able to tell people that because what I used to hear a lot of like I'm not into books, I don't really read. But it's like where is the place of growth? Where is the place of blossoming? Where is the place of value if you just agree that you cannot read? So it's like for the rest of your life you just don't read. You just don't know more, you just don't know better what you learned in school. The things that you had to read when you were in school. That's it. I'm actually considering going back to school just to prove a point. I want to see if I can maybe retake jam or why I can see whether I will fall my own hand or not. I don't even know. Sir. Maybe I'll try it next year and see what happens. I will take jam, take why I can see and see if I will behave myself or not. But that's it. That's the story of the girl who used to be dumb. I went through therapy last year. That was 2023, and I realized that even though I had abandoned a lot of the theory that I am not dumb, there were habits that I had built around my being dumb that were still controlling my life. So I think that's where I would do the last set of lessons. As soon as you can afford it, get therapy. As soon as you can afford it, get therapy. It doesn't matter what age. Okay, it does. Like I feel like as a kid, I don't think as a very unless you're greatly disturbed as a child, maybe under 20. But I think once you've passed 20 and you really want to do well in life, get therapy if you can afford it. Because the earlier you can solve major problems, the earlier you can pinpoint major parts of your life that are controlling you, the faster and the better you can move towards your purpose as a person. Okay, so that's what lesson number 8, 7, I don't remember. But I'll continue. The next lesson says lesson number 8. Yes, the next lesson is lesson number 8. Believe in your ability to do the things that you set out to do. I don't think I can give any I don't think I can even say anything about even this channel existing. This channel is from 2019. This channel was 4, 5 years old. I can't even say that this would have not existed if I didn't believe in my ability to do something. And I didn't wait until I was 100% sure that I can do it. I just ran with it. And in running with it, somehow I just achieved it and I've been going on and on. And that is the story of the girl who used to be dumb. And I want to say thank you so much for lasting this long. I imagine this video is very long. If you have a story you want to tell about yourself that has changed you, either through books or whatever, leave in the comments below. Let me hear. And don't forget to like and share. Until next time. Bye now.